Hello, everyone. Today we have a special guest for our new interview on our interview series. It's Lilia Gazlova, CEO of PR News in Russia and chairwoman of ICO in Russian. So welcome. Thank you for joining us, Lilia. And maybe you can say a couple of words about PR News for us.
Hi, Romina. Thank you very much for invitation to this interview session. It seems to be very interesting and useful for all feedback members, so I think it's a very good initiative.
Thank you.
As for PR News, we call ourselves communications research company because yes, as I think most of feedback members, we started as classic media monitoring company. Then we became media monitoring and media analysis company. And then when we added different research services to our products, we understood that the best way to position ourselves and to describe ourselves is to say that we are communications research company in Russia. We started in 2006, so it will be more. It's now almost more than 15 years. So yes, which for Russia it's a pretty long time for a media monitoring market. So yes, we see ourselves as an old company in Russia. And yes, we do different types of media. I would say all of the types of media, starting from television, radio, print, online, and social media. And yes, we are known for a good analysis expertise, I would say.
Yes,
And
I would agree on that part, of course. So Lilia, I was just wondering, maybe you can tell us a little bit about, of course, we are talking a lot about the last couple of months. I mean, through the COVID-19 pandemic, we are all going through very particular times in our own countries. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about how is the situation at the moment in Russia?
In Russia nowadays, we are accurately going to the normal life. But I think the main word is accurately, because yes, business can go to the office now finally, so we can leave our homes. But yes, you need to have a good reason for that, I would say. So still, it is an intention to be very accurate, not to go out of home very often. So a lot of big Russian companies and government institutions decided to proceed with the homework. For example, in our company, we decided, yes, to proceed one month more to see how the situation goes forward. But of course, I understand some businesses which are really they are looking forward to open and to start their business. Otherwise, they will be closed forever. So yes, I think we are now in somehow in the step when we are trying to find this middle solution. Yes, when it can be something in the middle, that the business go on, and that the business which can work from home proceed to work from home.
Yeah, it's a similar situation that we went through here in Germany. I mean, we experienced similar things, but I guess each country has some um, peculiarities, if we can call them like that. So it's always interesting to see how each one of us is going through this post-lockdown, or hopefully post-lockdown world. I mean, it's not the case for all countries, of course. In Latin America, there are several countries that are still in full lockdown. So we know that we are all experiencing somewhat different realities at this point. But you mentioned the fact that nowadays you can already go back to the office if you want to. And I was just wondering, considering the time that you spend working with your teams fully from home and the fact that now you can go back, let's say, to the office, um, do you plan on going back to the office just exactly as it was prior to this lockdown period, or are you planning on doing some changes, for example, having, I don't know, some days home office and some days office and or something like changing the usage of your space or something like that? Or how do you plan on having your work organization moving forward?
I see your question. I understand your question. In our case, I think we are in exclusion in terms that we restructured the company in 2009 with the crisis which was in 2008. And at that time, we totally understood that we need to wider our regions because we have our head office is in Moscow, but we understood that yes, we can find our team members not only in Moscow, and you know that we started our office in Siberia. And yes, that office is more like home office. So people are working mostly from home. It's remote work. So I would say that to this crisis, if we can call it as economic from an economic point of view, to this crisis, we were ready from that point of view. So our head office in Moscow is about the people work on client service, on sales, on financial parts of our work. So I would say these people will all need to come back to office when it will be possible, because for them it's more effective to work together in a team. So I would say online work is not so effective to that part of the team. But if I look at it at the other side, for example, in terms of our clients, when I felt it and I saw it pretty visibly that when we organized the online meetings, some of the processes went faster because before that you were, you know, planning the meeting, traveling to the office of the client and so on, and you still discuss some small issues which were absolutely possible to discuss online. So I would say this is a good practice, definitely, especially for those clients who are always do not have time to meet, are very busy with all the other stuff. I think it's a very good advice that we can all take from this lockdown period. So I would say for the team, offline work for that part of the team, which client service, sales, business development, I see offline as more effective. But with the clients, I would say a mix will be a good way to proceed.
Well, I mean, this leads me directly into the topic of communication and communication workflow, let's say. So, of course, as you said, you were already kind of prepared due to prior challenges we had, and you are working clearly with some sort of tools like Slack, Teams, or I don't know, something like that, in order to have internal communication up and running. And of course, there is this external communication that changed, let's say, to our clients, and it made it maybe somewhat more efficient or even flexible. I think also in some cases quite interesting to see, you know, the cats, the dogs, and the children of the clients as well on the screen.
Right.
But moving forward, I mean, I know that you do several events in terms of education and educating your clients, which I find a really great initiative, by the way. How about event management and attendance? Like looking like moving forward, how do you plan to handle this? Are you considering maybe new formats like digital formats or a mix, or I don't know? Um, how do you plan on moving forward in that direction?
If you let me, first I'll tell you about the instruments because yes, you mentioned Slack, and we have yes Russian-based company which is called Bittrex 24, and that's our instrument for all the communication inside the team. It's very really very effective, and we are absolutely pleased with it. But I can tell you that we had a problem with the financial part, everything which goes with electronic documentation, because Russia, I would say, is still have a space to develop in that part of our life. And I would say this lockdown was a great push for all of us to develop. So we just ran so fast with all this electronic documentation. It was a stress. Definitely, it was stressful, but I think it was worth it. So that part will definitely proceed. And going back to your question about education, thank you very much for the question, because yes, I'm really very proud of our initiative, because we were always at that sphere, at that space of communications market. So we were really thought, we really believed every time that we need to educate the professional society in terms of media measurement, communications research, and so on, because the topic is very sometimes difficult for people to understand. So you really need to explain, to educate. And we did all of this, all our initiatives before that offline. And when lockdown started, we thought what we can do. We started our own online intensive, we called it, online course. It was 4 days. We even sold it. So it was, we even got some small money for that. But the idea, of course, was it was very low price, so we really wanted to interest people to participate. It was very intensive for people to participate because it was 4 days, 1 week. Yes, and they were every evening they were responsible to listen to and to make some homework. But finally, we got 150 people participating.
Wow.
Yes, which is really a lot. We were impressed by the interest from the market. I think it was both the interest from the market, so that they needed the need from our client side, and the lockdown. People
Yeah.
had time. Yes, they were ready to get this in online format. So we definitely decided to continue with this and to proceed with this initiative. So now we are planning 2 more online courses this year. And yes, that's my advice to everyone. Try and not be brave and try it. So it was intensive in terms of organizing the process, but it was definitely worth it and very effective.
Are these courses held in Russian language?
Yes, of course. That was totally for our market in Russia.
That's a pity. I cannot join you then. Anyways,
We'll be international soon.
okay, very good. I will learn. I will learn. Don't worry. I've been promising you that for like a couple of years by now, I guess. I didn't get much further. Anyways, have you been working on repositioning your organization? I mean, of course, you mentioned you had a big redesign back then in 2008, 2009, due to the crisis that we had at the time. But now, considering I mean, this is a current changing, let's say, situation, not only because of the economical part, but also, as you mentioned it, it's an extreme digitalization of every single aspect of life almost. So I was just wondering whether you have been working on repositioning your organization for this, let's say, post-lockdown world.
Mm-hmm. I can say that maybe some crucial repositioning, we are not thinking about some big changes in our repositioning, definitely. But what we did and what we also experienced, you know that Telegram as a messenger is very popular in Russia. And I know that it's not so popular in other countries. For example, in Europe, it's not so popular. But yes, in Russia, it's very popular. And you can start your own channel as your own media in Telegram. So what we did in this lockdown, we started such a channel.
Oh,
So it is our media as Pure News, where we again tell our people who are our subscribers of the channel. We tell about media measurement, about media analysis, and all the topics we think to be important to the audience. And it's growing pretty good, absolutely natural. So we didn't put any advertising format by now to this channel. So we're just making our copywriting stuff and yes, putting the information on the channel. I think it's a good, it's something also what we found out during the lockdown period when it was total digitalization. We didn't have any other channels for communication with our clients, and we decided how can we position ourselves in this new digital world. And yes, we found this interesting channel. I know it's only typical for Russia, but yes, it seems to be very effective. So we will continue with that too.
yeah, but like social media, like earn much more of a weight because of this lockdown, and I think even though Telegram might not be used in every single corner of the planet, there are still other similar platforms where you could, let's say, do such let's say own channels and have your subscribers. So it's an interesting concept for sure. And how about your competition? Because I know that in Russia there's a lot of competition. And did you perceive that they also, let's say, reshape a little bit?
I think we have a lot this quite big competition in Russia, high competition in Russia, because there are a lot of small companies which are playing in this market, in media monitoring market in Russia. I would say that for the small companies, it will be very difficult to go through this period, because the main difference between small and big companies, media monitoring companies in Russia, is that the leading companies work with the big clients and government clients. And those companies, big clients and government clients, I would say they didn't really decrease a lot the budget. So the budget was agreed for 1 year. We'll see how it will be in 2021. But for this year, they would say helped us to cover this period. But if most of our clients were small clients, small business and middle business, the situation would be very difficult. So I suppose for these small media companies, for which most of the clients are small and middle business, it's very difficult to cover with the prices. So I think that will change the situation at the market.
I see your point. And we were talking earlier about the different media channels and the situation you're at. I mean, we of course said, yes, social media got a little bit more of a weight, and I think everything that has to do with online media came, let's say, forward in term of this balance. And in most countries, traditional media, for example, suffered a lot under this crisis. In opposition, of course, radio and TV went up. Like it's quite interesting to see how the power of each media type changed during COVID. But did your company's media offering change due to the crisis? Do you perceive that there was a change also in the way, like in the way you offer your like your media sets? Like, were there many publications disappearing, or was there a major increase in other areas for you?
I think in Russia it's the same as the whole world. So print media is the most vulnerable space, yes, and they suffered a lot. And yes, I can see that some of them will not recover from the crisis. They recover from this post-lockdown period. So there are still a lot of publications which are not published, and we don't know if they start again. And as for social media, was there a high request for social media? I think it was the same. Still, it was the request for analysis to understand this period, but it didn't matter for the client whether it was analysis of all the channels. So I didn't see the difference. But what I'm interested in, what I'm looking at very in details, is podcasts. I think that's a new sphere and something new for all of us. And I think for media monitoring companies, it's also a challenge to monitor this podcast definition. Yes, and they're very niche, very specialized. Yes, and I think yes, it will be a challenge for the whole market.
Yeah. I can relate to that thought. So when we talk about, of course, you just said, okay, you didn't experience that much of a change. People were asking analysis, and you didn't experience much of a change. But as you know, the topic of, for example, exclusive deals between media monitoring companies and publishers, and then again this topic of the veracity of news and trust in media. I mean, these are clearly fields of growing interest. I mean, not new, but basically they almost exploded because of the crisis. So from your perspective, what role should the media intelligence industry take in this regard?
To my point of view, it should be a good, let's say, let me say it. It should be a good relations between media publishers and media companies, because I think it's the problem for all of us. for the whole market. And I think this is the space where media monitoring companies can help the publishers with their expertise in data analysis. So to my point of view, because what we see in Russia, the way to cover the problem with fake news and disinformation, there are two ways that we see now. One is automatic part, yes, when you can try to make it automatically to find out this fake news and to stop. And the other one is the education of the audience. So we really have some initiatives and projects, even on one news agency. They do it every week. So they pick up the topic, they invite the experts, which comment on the topic, and they educate the audience that this is fake news, you shouldn't believe it, the real story is the following, and so on. And I see that it is a good mix, of technology and of people approach. Yes, this a good mix to finally to get the positive result of understanding the problem. But for example, in our practice, we had the problem with the fake news for the government institution. And really, they asked us to monitor the fake news, to prioritize them, because they had too many of them every day. And they had to prioritize for example, which one to choose to educate first. And I can say that it's the problem for all of us, not only for the audience who's reading, but also for the companies, for governments. So it's somewhere in the middle. So to my point of view, it should be a partnership between media publishers and media monitoring market to solve the problem.
And does your company have experience working with publishers aimed, for instance, trusted media?
No, because in Russia, this dialogue between media monitoring companies and publishers is not active. So we still have to develop it.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is clearly then a role that you have opened there. And you mentioned that you are already working with let's say governmental customers that are interested in this differentiation between fake news and let's say real news. Did you create any sort of framework for that, or how do you do that?
I think it looks more like questions and answers, Q&A.
Okay.
So when it is a brief from the client, they explain what to do, and we just do it according to the brief.
Okay, I see. And was there a change on your service offering then? I mean, this is clearly something new, I guess, right? So was there a change on your service offering or maybe the target groups?
I can't say that we decided to add this service to all other clients. So no, that's totally individual projects which we do for one of the clients. So we decided it's too early at our market to add it as a service.
And was there any other changes on your service or in your offering during this crisis?
We had a request for short-term analysis when the clients were trying to understand what happened during that period, and in other requests. But I think that's something which is going at the market for last 3-4 years is visual monitoring of social media. So when the client wanted to see their logos on people, on celebrities using their products. So that was another request, another sphere.
And were you able to identify any emerging sectors in your market?
In our market, for last 5 years, the emerging sectors is startups. So it's I would say, I don't know whether it is a bubble or not in Russia, but it's popular. So yes, I think the startups will be more and more active because to my point of view.
And did they survive the pandemic, these startups? Because
Some of them survived, some not. Those who were absolutely digital, I would say 90% of them are digital. So most of them survived because they were ready. For them, it was a good time. Because, for example, I didn't tell you before, we made our own research on media consumption during this lockdown. There was a series of interview with people of different generation, and all of them showed, yes, an increase in media consumption, all of them. So for definitely for the stoppers, it was a time to catch. uh, Same it was with our intensive, with our online course. We made it in this very good time, but we caught the right time.
Well, that sounds really interesting. I would love to have a look at that report, to be honest. Again, I won't understand it, but I won't see it.
Now we are translating it, so you
Perfect.
have the chance.
That's good. That's good. That you have my email address. So, do you have? I mean, if we look at the situation as it is, and the fact that, let's say, at least in our countries, we're a little bit. I don't know if we can call it ahead, but we already experience high peaks in terms of the pandemic in comparison to other areas of the world where maybe they are just unfortunately starting to feel the full pressure of the virus. Um, do you have any additional recommendations, like in terms of strategic planning for our members?
I think it's very important to support your team members, yes, your people during this period. So it can be whatever, Zoom, Skype, whatever you choose, Microsoft Teams, but I think it should be on a regular basis and some time where you can really discuss with people, because at the first period, people were really worried a lot because they couldn't plan their future, and that's a very important question and very important issue. The same, by the way, was with the suppliers, partners, clients. So I think we communicated a lot during that period, and it was important. So you are sitting from home with your computer and you communicate, just to have this in yes, in one hand. So I think this part is important. And another one is important. Yes, try to think more digital. I know it sounds very standard, but yes, to think in this new digital world, to find the new areas to develop.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and I would like to know, do you think, how do you think FIBEP as an organization can support you as a media intelligence organization to cope better with this crisis?
I think that one of the good things with FIBAB that it is international. So as I'm sitting here in Russia, in Moscow, and by the way, I'm in the countryside, so I'm not even in Moscow now. So, so I'm sitting in my, yes, a small area, and I can compare what's going on in my country with what's going on in the other countries. So I think this initiative with the interviews is a very good initiative because I can get some information, try to decrease the stress of the situation, and to see maybe some, yes, good approaches how to recover from this period. So I would say some summing up of that information is also a good thing. Yes, some, I don't know, digest about everything, which can, yes, briefly show me the situation as the CEO of the company. And also by the way, we know that we are all in, it's not only a FIBI family, but it's also a FIBAB partnership. So we partner a lot with different members from FIBAB. So of course I'm interested to see how they fail, how they are now, and how they cover, how they survive. So it's interesting also to have an as an overview of situation, but also there's some maybe small brief information, but about different countries too. So that's my thoughts on the issue.
No, I really appreciate this. It's always great to get this type of input because it helps us adjust as well. I mean, we also need to change. I mean, FIBEP as an organization is also going through the same process as everybody else, trying to adjust to the situation, to think ahead, to move forward, and to be able to support and give our members, in this case, of course, the support that they need. So it's always great to hear it directly from you. And I would actually really like to see Oresti, Patricius, and yourself talking about maybe some sort of alliance, since you are now working with ICO. I think it might be a good opportunity for us to plan something together. So now I'm putting you on the spotlight, but I have to take my opportunity. So I thought I just ask you. So maybe you can have a talk with him, and maybe we can do something together to benefit the members of both associations. And I think this would be a much powerful message, and it would amplify our voices towards a prosperous future for the media intelligence industry as a whole.
Yeah, I totally agree that these partnerships are very useful because, yes, only in combination, yes, between media monitoring companies and PR agency, we can find the solution how to develop the market. So definitely from that partnership, I'm interested. So it's a space to discuss.
Okay, Oresti, you heard her. She said yes. So, so now I would really I would really like to thank you for your time, for your openness, for sharing with us, and yeah, just stay healthy.
You too, stay healthy. Yeah.
Take care, Olivia.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.